Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I want to put this quick video together for the purposes of keeping people up to date on what's going on, as always. I do try to do that. That's really the purposes of vlogs, honestly. If I'm going to be anywhere doing an event or something like that, I like to keep you informed to make sure that you don't freak out. It's like, oh my god, where's the videos? Unfortunately, that seems to happen anyway, but the first thing I want to do is actually apologize, because a lot of the content that's been going on the channel the last 2 weeks has actually sucked pretty damn hard. And it's not up to the usual standards that I would expect you lot to expect from this channel. I hope we've set the bar fairly high. You know, we don't do anything particularly special. It's not like we edit together incredible videos on a daily basis, but we do have a basic set of quality standards, including visual fidelity as well as sound quality. That's actually a big deal for me. I do go out of my way to try and make the sound quality work. Particularly the Shoot Mania VODs over the last couple of weeks. I know a lot of you aren't interested in the game, which is fine. It's very much a niche esports title. It's something that the players who actually got involved in the tournament are really enjoying, like seriously enjoying. Crazy how much they actually like that game and the way that it performs. But for a lot of viewers, it's something that they're just not into, and that's cool. The quality of those VODs was atrocious, if I'm totally honest. Stream quality didn't look good, it didn't make the game look very good, the audio balance was completely off, which annoyed me greatly. That was out of my hands, but it was still put up on my channel anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm responsible for it. So my apologies for, one, putting out too many of those videos, and two, for them just not being up to standard. Some people might say the same thing about the Secret World stream, although I feel that was probably good enough to go on the channel. It's what would have happened if I'd done an extended WTF of that game anyway, so I'm not really too worried about that. Now, obviously, a lot of you have been looking for planet-side coverage. There's been a lot of that coming up, but I just want to point out that over the last 3 weeks, myself and Jen have actually been on the road. And we've been to San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and we're now up in Anaheim for our final event. This was pointed out about 3 weeks ago in the vlog. It said where I'd be. We're going to Riot. I did visit Riot, and to the Twitch offices for the purposes of the Shoot Mania tournament, which again is something I was contracted to do. And then E3, which is a massive time sink, needless to say, and then finally to MLG Anaheim to broadcast the StarCraft tournament, which is beginning today, by the way, if any of you are interested in tuning in. Best place to go is always to teamliquid.net, because they have a countdown on the front page to this thing. So instead of giving you 5, 6 different time zones and having people get confused, just go to teamliquid.net. It says MLG Spring Championship. It's got a little countdown timer. It is free to watch. This is not one of those pay-per-view events, so by all means do tune in. That would be great. I'll be casting with Apollo. I am also scheduled to cast a game alongside Husky, which I am looking forward to, actually. I only first met Husky a couple of days ago at E3. We only had about 2 minutes to talk before I had to go to my next appointment, but it'll be nice to actually do something with him. Anyway, the point is that over the last few weeks, I've not been able to put out the usual content. I think a lot of people understand that, but from reading some of the comments, looking at the statistics, some people definitely don't. We've lost subscribers relative to what we usually get. We haven't had a drop at any point. And in fact, if your channel has a drop at any point, then you're in a bit of trouble. The only reason you should ever have a drop is if YouTube's cleaning up old accounts that haven't been active in like a year. But usually we gain about 600 to 800 new a day. The last couple of days we gained about 150, so that means we've taken a net loss of subs, which is unfortunate, but I guess some people just don't really seem to understand that it's impossible to keep up the regular workload and do all of the stuff on the road. It just can't be done. I don't have access to my high-end equipment because I can't carry it for obvious reasons. It's only what I can fit in a suitcase and get on a plane. And I don't have the time. I'm out pretty much all day. I come home, I'm exhausted, and I go to bed. But what I will say is that we have got some fairly fantastic footage from E3. And that's one of the main reasons we actually came out here to begin with. E3 is a difficult thing. It's actually incredibly difficult, because in comparison to Gamescom, you get so little access. A lot of devs just don't want you filming. They don't want you showing the game. They'll maybe do an interview with you, but they won't let you film, which I think is really pointless. I just really dislike this idea of putting games in a really controlled environment. for the sole purpose of making someone stand in a line for hours. And this is not obviously for the media, this is for just the general attendees. They stand in a line for hours to play the game. They get a 20-minute controlled demo in a controlled environment. They're razzled and dazzled by all the nonsense that's going on at the booth, whether it be booth babes or just impressive displays, lights, sound, and smoke machines. And then when they come out of that dazed and confused, having waited 2 hours to play the game, like, what was the game like? Say, oh, yeah, it's great. It's going to be the best thing ever. And you ask them to say anything remotely worthwhile about it, and they can't do it. And that's what a lot of these displays are actually designed to do. Indeed, the only one presentation I actually bothered to look at was a 10-minute presentation. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but I learned so little about the game in that presentation. It was a lot of fan service, and most of the guys in there were media. So I would have expected to find out more meat about the game, and I didn't. That was actually on the subject of XCOM, which is a game I'm very interested in. I did get an interview on it, which has got a hell of a lot more information for you guys, because I didn't want to drop the ball on that. We did about a 15-minute interview on the subject of that game, but the presentation was like, well, it's funny that you put Sid Meier in a suit of power armor and had him stomp around killing sectoids. That's cute, but I learned nothing, absolutely nothing about the game during this presentation. But there were some devs that were open to that kind of thing, and we got footage from games like Arma 3, we got footage from Raiders, which is in its later alpha state, almost to beta now. That game is looking really good. You'll be seeing a lot of footage from that. We got footage of Age of Wushu, which is a nice, exciting looking kung fu martial arts style of MMO with some really interesting new features, including guild castle warfare, offline jobs, and the ability to kidnap offline players. I'm deadly serious about that. So that was a really fun interview. Obviously, we got a ton of PlanetSide too, because I was contracted to cast that. That's what I was there for. So I was doing that 2 hours a day, so we have over 6 hours worth of footage for that. We're probably not going to put Day 2 out, because Day 2 had some sound problems. I'm not really happy with it, and you guys on the channel haven't been happy with the poor quality VODs anyway, so if there's sound quality problems with the VODs, I don't want to put them up. It's as simple as that. Day 3 was a lot better, so that's being uploaded as we speak, so you should be able to see that. I'm going to turn Day 2 into a highlight reel, I think, because I had a lot of things like galaxy drops and some cute stunts in the air, so I'll probably highlight reel it, and that would make more sense than putting up the entire VOD. Plus, there's a lot of repeated content. It's over 6 hours of one game in an alpha. I do like the Sony guys, though. They are willing to put their alpha game on display and just let people wreck it, you know? Do whatever they want with it. Cover it in any capacity they like. Stream it. Warts and all. I've got a lot of respect for that. I think that's one of the best ways to approach your audience. I feel that if you are confident in your product, you should be able to just put it out there and say, right, it's in alpha, guys. Understand that it's in alpha, and that there are problems with it. Feel free to provide feedback, and obviously the product's going to improve as we go along. I think that consumers are in general smart enough for that, even if a ton of stupid comments are left. I feel that in reality, people are really smart enough to do that. What else did we get? End of Nations, actually, showed for the first time the second faction and a cool new 2v2 map, and I was actually commenting, dual commentary, in fact, with Mike Legg from Petroglyph. Like, this guy is an industry veteran, involved in Westwood, Command & Conquer, and everything prior to that. He has been in the industry for so long. He's a great character, so that was a pretty good video. Also filmed Yog Ventures, just out of curiosity, and more to the point, did a pretty good interview with the guy behind it, who I believe he still does work for DreamWorks Interactive, and he works for the startup Winter Cool Games that are actually putting Yog Ventures game together, and I got him to answer a lot of questions that people have had about that, because there's been quite a lot of controversy surrounding that, and I myself have criticized the game as well, so I got a chance to ask him, right, well, what's the answer to all of these questions? You know, what is your real experience? How is the game actually going to work? Why is there so much money available for this game? Why was so much raised, and so on and so forth? So hopefully that answers a few questions for you guys as well. Aside from that, we did get some other interviews. We interviewed, as I mentioned earlier, XCOM. DayZ, the developer of DayZ. Thought you guys might want to hear from him about the future of the mod features that are coming for it, and how it's going to work with Arma 3 as well. We also interviewed the developer of Necro, which is the game which you guys actually kickstarted. You're essentially responsible for that game's existence. So I thought you might want to know more about that. And there's also a nice special feature involving myself, Athene, and Swifty in a game called Johann Sebastian Joust. It is as good as it sounds. There is actual physical violence involved in it. The game is designed around that. That game doesn't even use a screen. It uses PlayStation Move controllers and no screen. It's a little crazy. So we did that, and we also filmed some other crazy things around the Indiecade that they had there. So, got a reasonable amount of content. I'm not, I say, 100% happy with how much we got, but at the end of the day, E3 just, it's not the same as Gamescom. You can't just go from appointment to appointment, filming. You can't do it. The hours are not long enough. The actual developers are too restrictive more often than not. They just don't want you filming. So, at the end of the day, what can you do? And the answer is really not an awful lot. But I'm sorry for the drought over the last 3 weeks. And I know it's been limited. It's a variety gaming channel, and yet we've really only had like 3 games on the channel over the last 3 weeks. We've had Shoot Mania, we've had PlanetSide, and we've had Secret World. And you guys expect more. But unfortunately, that's not something we can really provide when we're on the road, trying to get other things for you guys, and also trying to open up more doors so that we gain access to better quality games earlier on to show you. I think what we've been doing with Sony is a good example of the kind of thing I would like to do with more companies in the future. I want to be able to show you the raw alpha. I want to be able to show you a game in progress in great detail and give you an opportunity to get an insight into the development process, as well as provide feedback to make the game better. That's the kind of thing that I want to do. So doing this thing with Sony, and of course doing that with Ubisoft and Shoot Mania, is one of those activities and engagements that can really open doors to a lot more for the channel and, of course, for you guys in the future. So hopefully most of you are understanding of that. Those of you that decided to unsubscribe as a result of lesser quality content over the past few weeks, I totally understand that. Hopefully you'll come back once you start seeing what we've got from E3 and want to get back on a regular schedule. I'll be back in North Carolina, which is where I live, yes, on June the 12th, which is a Tuesday. So I'll try to get back onto regular schedule as quickly as possible. We've got a podcast hopefully coming up for you on the 13th, which is Wednesday. There has been no podcast this week because everyone has been busy, including myself, so we haven't had the chance for it, but everything should return to normal sooner rather than later. So thank you very much for your support, and remember to tune into MLG this weekend. I will be casting alongside amazing casters like Tasteosis, Mr. Bitter, DJ Wheat, Husky, Apollo, and all that good stuff. So please, by all means, come along. It is free. If you happen to be attending, then please come and say hello, because I'm not that scary. I don't bite. My internet persona is not necessarily the same. So please, by all means, do come and say hello. That's probably my favorite thing in events, to actually talk to people. It's awesome. It's great fun. So there you go, folks. That is a wrap-up of what's been going on. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.